No mai, haere mai. Welcome everybody to the webinar this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are going to talk about the Executive MBA program. So before we go into all of that and all the details, I want to introduce Professor Alex Richter. He is the academic program leader for this program, so I will leave him to welcome.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, my name is Alex. I'm the academic program leader of the Executive MBA. That basically means I'm responsible to make sure that the courses that we have in the program make sense, are coherent, and have a good quality. So I'm working a lot with your lecturers. I'm also lecturing a course myself, leading digital transformation, where we discuss all the fancy IT stuff like blockchain and big data and artificial intelligence. Yeah, and I'm also working with Poppy and Charlotte to make sure that the program doesn't just consist about the courses. It's more than that. It's a whole experience. So we're working towards that. We have part of the program also professional development. I think you will talk about that. Yeah, and I'm here to say hello. I'm happy to virtually meet you, and I'm also happy to reply to any questions you might have.
Brilliant, thank you, Alex. So Alex is going to sneak off out the side. You will hear from him later, like he said. So to introduce myself, my name is Poppy Norton. I am the Professional Program Recruitment Manager and Engagement. So my role is to help you work out what program might be right for you, to talk a little bit about the programs, and then we do have a whole team behind the scenes helping you with your courses. Like Alex said, he's there to provide the academic support that we do have, which accompanies our programs. So today I am going to talk about the program in a little bit more detail. We do have a wonderful Executive MBA student who's going to talk to you about his experience in the program. And we do encourage you to send us some questions. So you should be able to see a Q&A or a question and answer function. Please feel free to fire those questions through while I'm talking to you today. We do have a team behind the scenes who will be answering them, but at the same time, we might keep them until the end if there's some very common questions coming through, and we will answer them live on air. So what we'll do though is we'll go through some key facts about the program, who we are, and then we will, like I said, answer those questions. So we are Te Waka, Victoria University of Wellington. So that is the university that this program falls underneath. If you've attended my webinars before, you'll have heard all about the university. So today I am just going to briefly touch on it, but I do encourage you to have a look at our website and watch any previous webinars if you do want to find out some more information about support services that we have at the university, the other programs, and the university in general. On my screen though, you will see a map hopefully down the bottom there, and what it does is it shows you where we are located in Wellington. So Wellington being the capital city of New Zealand, it's quite a compact city, it's very easy to get around, and the university is spread across the city, and we have campuses or big teaching areas dedicated to different disciplines and subjects. Our main campus, or the campus where our arts and sciences are taught, that's Kelburn campus, which is located up the hill. But what you'll see on my map is Pipitea campus, and that is where we teach our government, our business, and our law programs. So at the Professional Programs Office, we are working for the Wellington School of Business and Government. So we're located at that Pipitea campus, and in Rutherford House is the particular building. So if you are familiar with Wellington, you'll know the Beehive or our government buildings. We're just across the road from that. So I will just show you a zoomed in picture, might be coming up later, of where we are located in Wellington. Here we go. So the image might be quite small on your screen, but what you should hopefully see there, if you are familiar with Wellington, is the Beehive and our government buildings. If the sun wasn't streaming in through my window right now, hopefully you can still see my face, you'd be able to see the Beehive over my shoulder. So that's just to show you where we are located. So we're really lucky here at the Wellington School of Business and Government to be located right in the heart of the CBD, the Central Business District. We do take advantage of our location and really draw on that through what we're teaching you, or the industry connections and the networking that you'll have as part of your program as a professional program student. There's another zoomed in picture there just to really show you where we are located in the Wellington city. So the tall building, the building you hopefully recognise, the Beehive. The building behind that one is our law school, and that's the wooden building. And then just to the side to that is, sorry about the feedback, not sure what happened there. So the building just to the side of that is Rutherford House, that tall office looking building, and that is where we teach our professional programs. Here's a shot from inside the campus. It is a really modern campus. It's a really beautiful place. So please, if you are in Wellington, we do encourage you to come and have a look throughout the campus. The top image there is our library. The campus is a public space, so you are welcome to come and wander through and have a look. And the image at the very bottom there, that is our professional program student study space. There's something quite unique about our professional program students. Typically, they are working alongside their study. So about 80% of our students are studying part-time and working. So we do have a dedicated study space for you. If you're looking at needing a quiet space to come and study or network with your colleagues, then that's a really good space that you can juggle those things and really dedicate some time to your study.
So what I will do now is pass over to Brian. He, like I said, is one of our Executive MBA students. And I'm going to ask him just to introduce himself and talk a little bit about the program while I bring up my slides while I'm on this new computer. So over to you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Poppy. I'm Brian Charlowski. I'm part of the 2020 cohort. And as you might tell from my accent, I'm an international student. I'm from America. And I'm graduating at the end of next semester in 2021. I chose to study in New Zealand to grow my international business experience and knowledge. I have a professional background in international marketing and business development. And so I've been a part of the EMBA program for 3 trimesters now. And I've really enjoyed the program. It's given me exposure to New Zealand companies, along with working together with people in my cohort and my group. It's given me a lot of leadership opportunities, opportunities to work and lead with diversified groups. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions about studying. I know it's a big decision. So one of the questions I've gotten before is about balance. A lot of the students in the cohort are working, and the program is set up that you are working. I worked about 30 hours a week, so a little bit under full time, but I was also going to school full time as well, taking three papers. And so the course is set up quite flexible. That your lectures are on Fridays and Saturdays most often, and some night courses as well. But the teachers are really flexible and working with you and extending assignments if you need it. I found that extra flexibility to really help me with, my professional development and also my academic development as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brian. We will ask everyone to keep sending the questions through in the Q&A function. So please definitely send them through and we will get Brian to be answering those. Just because I have moved to a new computer, I can't do my slideshow how I was doing it, but hopefully I've shared my screen, so hopefully you can all see it. So again, apologies for the technical difficulties that we are having today. I will say we are going to run through this webinar and you can ask us any questions through the Q&A function, but we are always available to have a chat via Zoom or in person or over the phone as well. So if you can't read my slides today, then I do encourage you to please come back and have more of a conversation with us about this program.
But I will just run through my slides. So like I said, hopefully you can see them there. So our Executive MBA program is an internationally recognized management qualification. It's what we call a generalist program. And the reason behind that is because you do build your skills in a wide range of areas. So it does help you if you're interested in moving into senior management or senior leadership and really enhancing your leadership and management skills. The program builds up the subject knowledge in areas such as management and marketing and accounting and economics. So you have a really strong foundation to build your professional knowledge and your academic knowledge from. So when you are working in businesses and you are holding that senior leadership role and you have people reporting to you who might be accountants or economists, then you understand what the kind of queries are and what you're asking of them while holding that strategic role. So on the screen, hopefully you can see it. So the Executive MBA program is one of the qualifications that we're talking about today. The other one is our postgraduate certificate in business administration. And I will talk about the differences between the two in one of my next slides. But this here is just a quick snapshot of what our Executive MBA program looks like and how long it takes to complete. So our quickest way to complete, or our intensive option, is it takes you 16 months to complete that program. Now, when we talk about the length of our qualifications, we talk about it in terms of months, but we also talk about it in terms of trimesters. And so if you have studied at this university before, trimester is probably a familiar term. But if you're coming to us from a different university, or you actually haven't studied at a university before, then you might not be too familiar with the term trimester. But what trimester means is that we have 3 teaching periods throughout the year. So trimester 1 is our first trimester of the year, and that's February to June. Trimester 2 starts July till October, and then what other universities sometimes call summer school, we call that trimester 3. So that's November to February. So when we talk about our programs in terms of trimesters, you'll see that the fastest way to complete this qualification is 4 trimesters. So that includes the summer school period, and it spans just over a year. Typically, though, we do have students who are working and studying part-time with us, and so that usually means that they are studying or take 2 years to complete, or 6 trimesters. Now, the program is taught in a way that it does allow you to work full-time. And our classes, they're taught on Fridays and Saturdays. Now, typically for each course that you complete, you come to campus or you come to class for 4 Fridays and 4 Saturdays. And during that time, you'll be engaging with your academics, you'll be having your class content and your academic content taught to you, but also embedded into those hours is professional development. So part of your qualification, you do need to have a number of professional development hours, and they are embedded into the way that the program is taught, so that when you finish your qualification, you finish with that real lived and worked experience. Like I mentioned before, it is designed for people with 5 years of executive work experience. So that's typically people who might have been in management or leadership, or roles that require you to have high critical thought or experience. If you're not sure if you fall under this category, please definitely have a chat with us. We can talk to you and we can find out more about your work experience and let you know if this program is the best one for you out of our many here at the Professional Programs Office. And like I said, it is a staircase. So when I mentioned the other qualification before, what we mean by staircasing is that we have 2 qualifications that fall under the Executive MBA header. And these qualifications lead into one another or staircase into one another. And I will show you what I mean by that a bit later on. Also here in my next slide. So the first qualification in our Executive MBA suite is the postgraduate certificate. Now, to complete the postgraduate certificate, you complete 4 courses, and they're taught at exactly the same level as the master's level. You just complete fewer courses in your program. You can either choose to finish that point, or you can decide to keep going and move through into the full Executive MBA program. And again, those courses are at the same level, you just take more. So to complete your Executive MBA, you do complete 12 courses overall, or 180 points. Now on my screen, you will see the core courses listed. So these are 8, or you take 8 of the core courses that are required, and they're the ones to give you that really strong foundation in all aspects of business. You then get to choose 4 elective courses. And the elective courses here are the courses that you can make or choose to be unique to help you with what your career goals or career interests might be. So we do have courses which are specifically made for the MBA, the Executive MBA program, and they're the top 4 or 5 that are listed on my screen. But then we can actually work with you and talk to you and work out if there's another course that we teach here at the Wellington School of Business that fits better with your career plans. Then we can look at how we can bring that into your program to meet your specific career needs. Our program is also taught in quite a unique way. So we have this cohort structure. And the idea behind the cohort is that in your first class or in your orientation week, you get put into a group or a cohort group. And this is supposed to simulate a management team. So you will have people from diverse backgrounds, diverse industries, and you'll all bring your own unique experiences into the program. And then you will study with this particular cohort in this group, you will do assignments with this group, and the idea is that you learn off each other just as much as you're learning off the academics who are teaching you, and you bring your worked and lived experiences to your class. Now the timetable is something we often get asked about, so I do have an example timetable on the screen, and so this is a part-time timetable that I'm showing you. So in trimester 1 next year, these are the courses that we will be teaching. So if you are choosing to do 2 courses, then you will complete EMBA 501 and EMBA 503. Second trimester, you complete more of those core courses, and again in your 3rd trimester. So there you complete your 6 core courses. Then if you move into the 2nd year, then you've got the final core courses, and the EMBA 508 or 509, that's our consultancy course. So you can either do a domestic consultancy, or if travel allows, an international one. Then you have those elective courses that I showed you before. So you would finish off if you're studying part-time with the elective courses. Now the intensive option, so the option that Brian is doing, is if you choose to do 3 courses per trimester. And what you'll see on my screen is it's a little bit more, your core courses are a bit more mixed up with your elective courses. And that's a way that you can complete this program in the shortest amount of time. The professional development that I did mention, that is part of our program, it does get included, taught through your classes. So the Fridays and Saturdays that you'll be attending classes, we will have that professional development embedded into it. The professional development, I have examples on my screen of what our students have done this year, and it's also there to support the academic content that you're learning in your class. Now I've got a couple more slides that I'm going to quickly skip through, and then we'll open it up again for the questions. So what we have, how to apply, you'll see on my screen. You supply some supporting documents. So with this program, you jump online, you apply, and when you apply, you say what program you're interested in studying. You then say what courses you would like to do, and I can email you the courses that we have, send them through by email so you can have a look to see what courses are on offer, or you'll find them on our website. But the one thing I will say, because of that cohort structure, we do have different courses taught for our different students. So if you are a bit stuck, not sure what courses are for you in your first year, we can share those with you. Then, because we do require you to have that executive experience to get into this program, we do ask you to supply a CV. And in that CV, we want to see your work experience. And it's just like you're applying for a job, but your CV doesn't have to be any different. If you meet that executive work experience requirement, we will invite you to do an admission assessment, and the admission assessment can be completed in your own time, in your own space, and that's really to get to know you, how you like to deal with challenges, whether you like to deal with challenges, and it's the way you think and learn and how you like to study. You then, if you're that successful, you'll be invited for an admission interview, and the admission interview is with Alex, who you met before, and our Executive Director of the Professional Programs Office. Now on my screen, I do have applications are due on the 20th of January. That is the official deadline that the university puts out, but because there is a fair amount of paperwork that goes alongside your application, we do encourage you to apply early, just because the process can take some time. So we do want you to get your application in so we can start processing that for you, so you'll be all ready to start your study when the program begins. Now, the last few things I am going to touch on before I open up to questions is talking about the financing your study, and that's a question we do get asked a lot. So on the screen, you'll see the cost of the program for 2021. Now, it does differ between domestic and international students, so do have a look and see what your program will cost. A common question we then get around the fees is how you can pay for your fees. Do you need to pay up front? And again, this varies if you're a domestic or an international student. If you're an international student, I encourage you to contact our wonderful team at Wellington University International. They can help you work out how to pay. For domestic students, there are quite a few different options you can look into. For both, domestic and international, I encourage you to have a look at our scholarships. So you can find scholarships on our website. It's the university's database, so have a look through. They tend to add scholarships often. So if you can't find anything now, do have a look back. You can also get your fees paid by StudyLink. So StudyLink are our student loans. They look after all student loans across New Zealand. And what happens typically is they pay up front, and then you pay back your fees through your pay. So a lot of our students do actually pay a lot, if not most of their student loan off by the time that they finish studying, if you are studying whilst you are working. And the other thing that I have on the screen is fees free. Now, this is not very common because most of our students do have academic study behind them. But if you do have a wealth of experience, but you don't have a bachelor's degree, you can still apply for our program. And if you do get a degree waiver, you go into that postgraduate certificate option. If you do go into that postgraduate certificate option and you don't have any tertiary study behind you, you might actually be eligible for the fees-free scheme. So I definitely encourage you to have a look to see if you are. But now, thank you for joining us. I am going to open it back up to questions. So I will invite Brian back and hopefully you fired some questions through on the chat and the Q&A. And we do have Alex as well. So please definitely fire those questions through. So we do have a question that I'm reading here, and I can see that Brian has actually responded through the chat, but I might actually get Brian to maybe touch a little bit more on that. So the question here is about how do you find balancing work and study? And this is a really common question that we do get. So I'll get Brian to answer, maybe repeat what you've said in the chat and build on that.
Yeah, I can definitely build on that. Well, I was nervous my first trimester because it was about 8 years since I last studied. So I did have concerns about how I would find studying and working at the same time, especially because academic background was a bit new for me. And the first week of the EMBA program, you're in a induction where you meet your cohort, and you also go through various trainings around setting you up on studying and setting you up for like life administration skills. And that sort of helped me out a lot because there I learned how to write academically, how to cite. I also learned studying tips on how to maximize my time. Since the EMBA course is for upper management and executive levels, they teach you how to read a lot of stuff very quickly because that's super useful for anyone in those positions. So that's kind of how I've caught up onto it, and yeah, just finding ways to save time.
Great, there's quite a few questions about workload, so hopefully Brian has covered that. But
yeah, and flexibility too. I found the program to be flexible around work.
So we do have a question here which says, what does the executive experience entail? Can you please articulate on this further? So I might pass this on to Alex if you talk about the background that people are required to have to enter this program.
Yes, so as part of the, let me quickly start with the admission process. So we have implemented a new admission process which mainly consists of doing interviews, as probably mentioned, with Charlotte, the Executive Director of the Professionals Programs Office, and myself. And the idea of these interviews is actually to get to know each other. So on the one side, we want to make sure that everybody who enters the program is in a way as what we would term an executive, is in a leadership position and is able to perceive the program with the eye of an executive, being able to contribute to conversations and discussions, and also getting the right things out of the program. At the same time, we also want to understand what your expectations are. So what we learn, so obviously we're investing a lot of time in these interviews, but we're really happy to do that because we learn a lot. And we also use these interviews at the end to see whether we kind of delivered on our promises and what the students hoped and expected to find. And what we learned specifically is that when it comes to the learning experience, that the students hope to have flexibility during their courses, but also when they choose their courses. We are very aware that you're not just studying, you have a private life, you have a busy business life, you have many, and also this might change over time. So we want to give you the opportunity to study in the right speed for you. But also during a course, and we just saw that last trimester with COVID, and there's also other obviously things that impact your learning experience. We want to make sure that during a course you are able to you know, like adjust or to learn in your own speed. So we set up the courses in a way that you don't have a big exam at the end and you're all preparing, and then all of a sudden there's 2 weeks of exam weeks, and then when something is happening privately or at the job, you're in big trouble. We want to make sure that you can learn consistently over the trimester, which starts with the readings of before the courses, and you have on regular dates, you have the face-to-face, but we also often support your learning experiences via student groups. So student groups are actually very important for us. Maybe Brian, you can also say a little bit about that later. And then we want to make sure that we also give you feedback. So if you compare this to undergrad, it's typically that you have an exam, then you get your grades and you're done. What we do is that we assess you during the trimester. We give you feedback, which allows you to, you know, like to actually improve your skills during the course. So when you have the next assessment a few weeks later, you are able to use the feedback that we gave you and to already by the end of the course already have a feedback of how you have improved over the course, not just having one big grade at the end that doesn't sometimes reflect really your learning experience. So this brings me to the last point. What we want to acknowledge is that you're an individual, and grades anyhow are not so important to us. Because they are an absolute, what do they say about how you improved or about your progress over time? What we want to see is that you get the best out of the program. You are able to improve or to build your skill set, and that you feel that you got something out of it. So this is also this is also mirrored in the way we do assessments and how we structure the courses. I hope that's at least on a superficial level a bit clear. Otherwise I can also give examples. But Brian, do you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, it's very flexible, and the course just blends quite well with either if you're a really busy professional or if you have a really busy family. You mentioned student groups, and that's correct. Everyone in my study group has different sort of life things they need to take care of during the week, and it's all just a mix. And the school is very flexible around that. A lot of the coursework is stuff you work on during your group times. So you just schedule a time that works for you. It can be on the weekends. It could be on the weeknights. It could also be virtual. So yeah, that's kind of how I found that balance.
Brilliant. And the only other question we have at the moment here is at what stage should the GMAT be done? So around the admission process. So if you are an international student, I do encourage you to contact Wellington University International. I will be sending an email out after this webinar with some contact details. You'll have my contact details, but also we will link to the Wellington University International team. So if you are applying as an international student, I do recommend you contact them because they can help you with the really specific information, anything to do with visas, and they can also talk to you around border closures at the moment with COVID-19. So I do definitely encourage that you talk to them if you are thinking about putting an application in. Just looking through the questions, and I know that Craig has answered some of them. I'm wondering if either of you, Alex or Brian, would like to answer. So someone here has asked about the cohort and explaining a little bit more about who's typically in the program or the mix. So I see that you've responded here, Brian, but maybe you could build on the cohort that you're currently studying with and the mix and the diverse nature of the students.
Yeah, definitely. So the student group, I think it's like 40 or 60 students. It's quite large and it's very diverse. I think the commonality is that most of the people there have management experience or similar to that. And the industries that they represent are very wide. You'll have people in emerging industries like technology, for example, like Trade Me and Zero. And then you have people that are in government like defense and also in farming industries as well. So I think the important aspect of that is you get a very good exposure to people with different experience, different backgrounds. And like Poppy said, you really learn from your classmates and people that are in your team just as much as you learn from your professors. You sort of learn their industries, their approach to things. And yeah, you learn a ton from that as a result.
Brilliant.
And it's also the idea, of the Executive MBA to really, so for us as lecturers to facilitate in-class discussions or also online where you actually can share your perspective and you learn from your classmates. That's generally the idea of an MBA, and we really, we strongly encourage people actually to be part of the conversation and to also connect with people. And also part of the professional development is actually the team building. The cohort principle is really important to us. By the way, also part of our accreditation with ENBA. So yeah, we put a lot of thoughts in how we can actually bring the right people in so that it's an enriching conversation. And as I said, that's why we also have the admission interviews, to make sure that everybody who is there doesn't always mean that they are just senior executives. Sometimes we also have people that have their own startups or, work in different functions. It's more about being able to benefit from the conversation and being able also to contribute to the conversation.
Fantastic. So I see that the questions have slowed down. Oh, as I say that, another question pops up. So we've got a question here. I'm a working professional thinking of completing this course in 16 months. What is your advice on this? Are you against this or can it be done? So I might get Alex to answer this one, but then Brian, you're more than welcome to give your feedback because I know that you've actually been doing this.
Well, it depends. I guess I would say it depends. It depends on many things. I mean, how much do you work? Do you have a private life and many things? I mean, in theory, it's possible. and it really, I mean, what you should be aware of is how much effort is each course. And so we have each course is 15 ECTS and one ECTS is 10 hours. So that means that one course is 150 hours. So so if you would like to complete in 16 months, let me think, but it's between 3 and 4 courses per trimester. Yeah, at least 3. So that's like 450, at least 450 hours.
About 30 hours a week that you would be dedicating.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I mean, we're not saying it's not possible. In fact, what especially Poppy is actually doing is also when you come in and also around when we do admission interviews again, is actually planning your schedule, and I think she's doing a really good job in helping you also to ask the right questions, like what are you able to realistically do and not. And if you and her, after having an open conversation, you feel really you can do it, it's not that anybody here will sit and say, oh my God, this person is crazy. It's just that we feel responsible for your, and especially Poppy, for your study success. So she will make sure that you really are also honest to yourself whether you are able to do it or not.
Yeah, it's definitely doable, and I have a lot of classmates that are doing it. They're working 40 hours a week and taking all 3 of the courses. I just think the realistic expectations is you'll probably study on the weekends, and you'll work in group work, and you'll study a bit on weeknights. The good news is that with the EMBA courses, you're not necessarily studying alone. You're usually applying the coursework with the team on a real life business. So it's work that you can meet up and get into groups. So it's a bit enriching because you're with people, you're not studying alone. And yeah, it'll just challenge how organized you are and how productive you can be. And it's definitely possible, but you will be studying a lot.
But what is important is that it's not a done deal. Like when you say you want to try it and you realize after 1 trimester it's just too much, or you have a change of circumstances privately or in business or so, then you're always able to reduce your workload, or at least temporarily reduce your workload and increase again. So that's actually a nice thing, that the curriculum that we have designed now and the schedules that we have worked out now, I agree. I know also I had Brian and his colleague in the last trimester, and I know that some of them do the 3 courses and others do 2 and some do just 1 because it's currently not the right time to do more, and it's perfectly fine. And they also always get, obviously, then that out what they hope in terms of workload and in terms of content.
And we do have a lot of academic support, but also holistic support. So a previous webinar that I have done is around the support services available at the university for postgraduate students. I do recommend that you watch that. I see in the comments that quite a few people are talking about workload. You're juggling a busy job, you're juggling having little kids running around. So I do recommend having a look at that webinar. We do cover things across the whole university. Like I mentioned, the academic support that there is, so student learning do an amazing job with that, but they can also help with the holistic side, helping look at your schedules, helping you plan some time to study. And again, we do have that professional program study space, so a lot of our students do meet there while they're doing their either individual study or meeting with their cohort. So it is a space for you to have some time out and dedicate some time just for your study if that's what you do need. Fantastic. No other questions have come up while we have been talking. Like I said, though, I will be sending an email out to thank you all for joining for joining us today. Please fire through some questions in the email if you go away today and suddenly think of some more. We are located in Rutherford House, which is that building that I showed you right at the beginning. So if you are in Wellington CBD, I encourage you to come and check us out. And you're more than welcome to sit down, have a chat, look at the courses, and we can work out a good plan for you. But otherwise, I'd love to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Alex, for joining us. And thank you, Brian. But otherwise, have a wonderful evening. And we look forward to talking to you soon. Mā te wā.